He was always trying to teach us simplicity and appreciation for nature.
Raul Malo's death on December 8, 2025, at the age of 60, marked a moment of deep loss for the music world. Tributes from fellow musicians have become the clearest reflection of the respect and love Raul earned throughout his life. Among the many voices honoring him, two stand out for their sincerity and significance: Trisha Yearwood and Robert Reynolds. Their words do not attempt to define Raul Malo through statistics, awards, or headlines. Instead, they speak to who he was as an artist, a collaborator, and a human being. Trisha Yearwood's tribute reflects a long-standing respect rooted in shared values rather than constant collaboration. Known for her own integrity and longevity in country music, Yearwood has always been selective in how she speaks about loss. When she addressed Raul Malo's passing, her words carried quiet authority and deep admiration. She described Raul as a voice that never needed to compete for attention. In her view, his presence was enough. His tone, phrasing, and emotional control set him apart from his peers. He did not sing at audiences. He connected with them. Yearwood emphasized that this connection came from honesty rather than technique alone. In her tribute, she acknowledged how rare it was to see an artist who could move so freely between musical worlds without losing credibility. Raul did not dilute country music by blending it with Latin rhythms and rock influences. According to Yearwood, he expanded it. He showed that honoring roots does not mean staying still. She spoke about how Raul's work helped normalize creative risk. At a time when many artists felt pressure to conform, Raul chose authenticity. That choice, she said, gave others permission to explore their own voices without fear of rejection. Yearwood also focused on Raul's character off stage. She recalled how he treated people with consistency and respect. Whether speaking with industry executives, fellow artists, or fans, Raul carried himself with humility. He did not rely on status to define interactions. That steadiness, she noted, was just as powerful as his music. Rather than framing her tribute around loss alone, Yearwood centered it on gratitude. Gratitude for the music. Gratitude for the example he set. Gratitude for a career that proved success does not require abandoning kindness. Her words resonated because they reflected how Raul was known within professional circles. Quietly influential. Deeply respected. Robert Reynolds' tribute carried a different weight. As the bassist and co-founder of the Mavericks, Reynolds shared decades of life and work with Raul Malo. Their relationship was built over years of writing, touring, experimenting, and evolving together. Reynolds described Raul as the defining voice of the Mavericks, but he went further. He explained that Raul was also the emotional center of the band. The one who set the tone for how music was approached and how people treated one another. He reflected on the early days, when the band struggled to fit into any single category. According to Reynolds, Raul never viewed this as a problem. Instead, he saw it as freedom. He wanted the music to reflect everything he loved. Cuban melodies from his childhood. Classic country storytelling. Rockabilly energy. Emotional vulnerability. Reynolds emphasized that Raul did not compromise to gain acceptance. He trusted the music. That trust became the foundation of the Mavericks' sound and success. Over time, it also became their identity. In his tribute, Reynolds spoke about Raul's leadership style. He explained that Raul never led through control or ego. He led by example. He came prepared. He respected the craft. He listened. When disagreements arose, Raul focused on solutions rather than blame. That approach built trust and allowed creativity to thrive. Reynolds also spoke openly about Raul's illness. While the details were kept private, he confirmed that Raul faced his diagnosis with dignity. Stage 4 cancer and leptomeningeal disease are devastating conditions. Yet Raul did not allow illness to define his identity. He remained focused on family and on the people he loved. For Reynolds, That courage was as meaningful as any performance Raul ever delivered. It reinforced the same qualities that defined him as an artist. Strength without arrogance. Vulnerability without weakness. Passion without excess. Both tributes shared a common theme. Raul Malo is remembered not for spectacle, but for substance. Not for chasing trends, but for creating something lasting. Not for volume, but for depth. As fans continue to wait for any funeral announcement, these tributes have become a shared space for mourning. They provide context and clarity at a time when many are searching for ways to honor Raul properly. The response from the wider music community supports this picture. Radio stations across the United States have dedicated tribute hours to Raul's work. Streaming platforms have seen renewed interest in the Mavericks catalog and Raul's solo recordings. Younger listeners are discovering his music for the first time, while longtime fans are returning to songs that shaped their lives. Artists from different genres have acknowledged Raul's influence. Country musicians credit him with expanding the boundaries of the genre. Americana artists point to his storytelling. Latin-influenced performers recognize how proudly he carried his heritage into mainstream music. Behind the scenes, stories continue to emerge about Raul's kindness. Crew members recall his patience. Fellow musicians remember his encouragement. Fans describe encounters where Raul took time to listen, to thank, and to connect. These memories reinforce what Trisha Yearwood and Robert Reynolds both expressed. Raul Malo's legacy is not confined to recordings or performances. It lives in the way he treated people and the standards he set. The absence of funeral details has not diminished the impact of his passing. If anything, it has shifted attention toward what truly matters. The life he lived. The art he created. The relationships he built. When the Malo family is ready to share information about funeral or memorial arrangements, it will be done on their terms. Until then, the respect shown by the industry reflects the respect Raul earned. Trisha Yearwood's tribute frames Raul as a model of artistic integrity. Someone who proved that success does not require sacrificing authenticity. Someone who demonstrated that innovation and tradition can coexist. Robert Reynolds' words provide insight into the creative heart of a band that changed the sound of American music. They reveal the trust, discipline, and emotional intelligence that allowed the Mavericks to thrive. Together, these tributes form a balanced and deeply human portrait. Raul Malo as an artist. Raul Malo as a collaborator. Raul Malo as a person. In the absence of ceremonies, these reflections have become a form of collective remembrance. They allow fans and fellow artists alike to pause, reflect, and appreciate what Raul gave to the world. Raul Malo will continue to be remembered as a voice that refused to fit into a single category. A musician who built bridges between cultures. A performer who sang with honesty and emotional clarity. His journey reminds us that true influence is not measured only by awards or numbers. It is measured by impact. By the artists inspired. By the listeners moved. By the respect earned from peers. As the music world continues to grieve, the words of Trisha Yearwood and Robert Reynolds stand as lasting reminders. Raul Malo was not only admired. He was trusted. He was valued. He was loved. And until the day his family chooses to share the next step, his legacy continues exactly where it belongs. In the music, in the memories, and in the voices of those who knew him best.